Now you can talk about Dwayne Michael Lil Wayne Carter Jr.'s new album.
Dwayne.
All right, so Bennett, we're talking about the most important Canadian news story of the last 6 years since we put an episode out. Carter 6. How are the reviews looking for Lil Wayne's Carter 6? This released June 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metacritic, the review aggregator, 51% positive reviews.
Perfect. That's a dub.
It's more than 50.
Yeah.
All Music, 3 out of 5. Rolling Stone, 3 out of 5.
That's pretty bold, but okay.
Slant Magazine, 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pitchfork, 2.9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
And Clash, 8 out of 10.
Just you and I, the first time you mentioned that, we were like, what?
Yeah. 8 out of 10 is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, the idea that album got more than a fucking...
a 5.5?
Yeah.
So I've got something for this album, alright? Lil Wayne was, not bad on it. He was rapping, he was doing his thing. Lil Wayne, I can't even lie, he's got, his classics under his belt, he's got the Carter series and all of that, but rap has, changed. You know, if you go back and you listen to the Carter albums, Lil Wayne's still probably doing around as good, but at some point, I think what happened was Lil Wayne blew up, started acting like he don't know nobody, right? And he got featured on a ton of pop songs because he was such a massive artist. And then I think the message he internalized was, wow, I must be so good at making pop songs. And then he just keeps chucking god-awful pop songs everywhere, all over his projects ever since. And that's not what made Lil Wayne good.
Oh, wait, is this the album with the elephant song on it?
Peanuts to an Elephant,
yes.
Yeah. Banger.
There are a lot of features on this album.
Yeah.
Including Big X the Plug.
Hero.
Jelly Roll.
Yep. That's Michael Jackson of our time.
Bono.
Yep.
The Bono song literally threw me for a loop. I didn't see that shit coming. All of a sudden, you got Bono.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Execute.
And Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will go on record for saying this. I hate Lin-Manuel Miranda so much for everything he's done to the genre of hip hop. That fucking Hamilton musical, man, it's so bad. It's he's done irreparable damage to what people think good rap is, and that's interesting because before Lin-Manuel Miranda came, it was Eminem who was being like, oh, the faster you go, the better it is, which is not Eminem's fault. Around the tail end of 2013, 2015.
It was a fun moment.
Yeah, a lot of people were doing that.
It did ruin a lot of songs for many years after.
Yeah. Okay, but you said he doesn't know anyone or something like that.
Oh, I was just fucking
No,
around.
he literally doesn't. Well, okay, either that or he's lying about it. He said he doesn't know. He hadn't heard Not Like Us. He said he didn't know that Jay-Z and Kanye put an album out together. Well, mind you, this album's been out for 15 years at this point. He actually might just be the type of person to just not be on the internet and not see anything that's happening. There's a lot of people out there who are you just from the way they react to shit, you can tell, oh, this guy doesn't go on Twitter or Reddit or something like that. James Harden dressed as Hulk Hogan, and everyone was so mad at him. He was like, yo, he dead ass don't have the internet. He doesn't know that Hulk Hogan is black people. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. I watched a video that took Peanuts to an Elephant.
Yeah.
And I usually despise these kind of videos, but it was fixing the beat. And then he changed the beat a little bit to make it more palatable. And then after that, he just put his own fresh beat over the song. And his own fresh beat wasn't anything brilliant, you know? It was just it was a good rap beat. It was fine. And the song sounded fire.
Yeah.
It is literally a lot of this album is just it's a project not coming together. There's good elements. It just is a shit show.
He doesn't know how to make an album.
Yeah.
These days, like artists are actually putting a lot of work in, like an album from start to finish. Tyler the Creator, Doshi. People are actually thinking about not just a bunch of songs collected together, but what is the theme? Like, what is this actually trying to tell people? And Lil Wayne is still on his like 2006 like.
He's still trying to drop mixtapes.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Like, this is a mixtape. It's not supposed to be an album.
But yeah, now it's like if you're listening to a good album, you got like Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs, an Alchemist, and it's like the production has like clean transitions between songs. Freddie Gibbs with The Alchemist sounds different from Freddie Gibbs with Madlib or anything like that.
Yeah,
like they're putting out incredibly cohesive projects. Or if you throw in like Run the Jewels or something. And you have like your front-loaded like bangers that change into your more somber kind of songs on the tail end and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, people put out very cohesive projects, and I guess that's just something that Lil Wayne hasn't quite figured out.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I guess we should get back into. We managed to forget to make an episode during what everyone was saying was going to be World War III. Yeah. Now, Bennett, you predicted this shockingly well. Do you want to...
Let me read out my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. I'll own that. People are saying I predicted everything. No, I didn't.
You did pretty good.
This was my prediction. I posted this... Actually, I don't even know when I posted this. Ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
Trey screenshotted it, but I can't really see when the screenshot is from because it's like... It says 39 minutes ago. But around the time the conflict started... I said, here's what I think happens. Number 1, Iran strikes back. Number 2, U.S. finger wags that strike back, but does nothing except economic sanctions, which I got wrong. The U.S. actually did bomb Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Israel and Iran do not share a border, and Iraq and Jordan don't care, so they're not going to get involved. So there'll be no ground war. Also because the U.S. is not going to invade Iran amphibiously. That would be, like, psychotic.
Yeah.
So that wasn't going to happen either. And then finally, things continue as they did before. Business continues as usual. Iran and Israel still hate each other. They still fight their proxy war, whatever. I think and then I said, I think the primary motivator is Israel knows they've grown unpopular with Western proles, which means there's a risk of Western governments eventually in the future not forking over $1 trillion to Israel year over year. So they're trying to provoke a strike from NATO's chief regional enemy, garnering sympathy and strength and support. I don't think that worked. If that was their goal.
Yeah. I do think that, at least in the popular view, like, Israel is cooked. Like,
did you see there's that concert in Glastonbury where the crowd was just shouting death to the IDF?
Yes, yes. Yeah, they were who was the
I don't know
on stage?
Bob Villain.
Yes.
Bob Villain?
Villain.
That's fucked up. But yeah, he goes on stage and he's yelling free, free, and the crowd goes Palestine.
Yeah.
And then he just starts chanting death to the IDF. This is on BBC, which is like the most 1984 repressive newspaper in the entire world, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think, is BBC the only one that's like, they won't let you say it's a genocide without hopping in for anything? I think like, even CNN will be like, after the fact, be like, well, Israel has different views. Like, BBC will make sure that you, the Palestinian, knows that it's not considered a genocide by Israel.
Yeah, the BBC at one point, this was like years back, I think it was, they say they like have to report newsworthy stuff. Like, they can't just completely ignore things. It's somewhere in their code. It's a newspaper. That's probably fairly standard. But they put out just like a trans hate piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a huge like trans rally / protest or something like that outside of their like headquarters, and they didn't cover it.
Holy shit.
That's the type of shit you get out of the BBC. But this was on BBC chanting death to the IDF, which was just unreal. And the crowd that was there was also just unreal.
Death to the IDF.
Yeah. I liked, I knew something was going to happen, and I think I was in a similar boat with Bennett, where it's like the Israel struck Iran, Iran struck back, and then all of a sudden, everything in my feed was either rockets making it through and hitting Israel, or it was American soldiers getting fed steak and lobster.
Yeah.
Wait, where?
I was scrolling Instagram and everything was just soldiers getting fed steak and lobster in all of these different states and all of that, and it's like they're getting sent out.
In the U.S. Army, if they're about to be deployed, they'll give them just the best food. They're giving them like the best thing that the army has to offer, which is like surf and turf.
Yeah.
And all the soldiers are like, we're so fucked. But the U.S. didn't actually do anything. So whatever. Nothing ever happened.
God. That's hilarious.
Now, I think what stopped the U.S. from intervening in Iran this time around is Trump getting into his head that he was tired of dealing with this because he's an old ass man with dementia, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably fed up with this situation. So he took to Truth Social, his private Twitter, to complain. Right? You probably saw the video where he was saying they have no idea what the fuck they are doing.
Yeah.
Probably one of the first times I've seen Trump swear.
He dropped the F-bomb?
Yeah. No, this is because Trump's great at like showmanning stuff out, and like you'll know he's angry, but he'll kind of laugh it off. This was one of the first times I've seen Trump like pissed.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just read off the series of tweets Trump made.
Mm-hmm.
So number 1, all caps. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. For 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful, on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both sides, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is the war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America.
God bless Iran.
And God bless the world. That was his first tweet.
Now, okay.
The guy's tweeting like he's just finished watching like a playoffs game.
Next tweet. Next tweet.
Okay, I just wanted to jump in for like a few little bits and pieces about that one. One, trying to name the war yourself is great. But two, being like Iran has to stop in 6 hours and Israel has to stop in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
It's like a 6 hour bomb for free.
Right, and you think that would satisfy Israel, but after that period ended and Israel was supposed to stop, Trump tweeted this. Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran.
Oh my God.
No people will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. An hour later. Or no, 38 minutes later. All caps. This full tweet is all caps. Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
This was, I believe, at a point where no one knew anything was happening. So he announced it was like Israel is about to bomb Iran as well, if I have that correct. I could have just missed something, but like he kind of exposed their plans.
Yeah.
But they probably called him up. They're like, "Can we do it?" And he was like, "No." And they're like, "Well, we're doing it anyways."
Yeah.
And you took to Twitter.
The
Truth Social. My bad. Oh man.
But at this rate, like the U.S. is going to invade Israel. Like, Trump is not happy.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Do we have more tweets?
Is this
Those
more
are
of
the
just?
three main ones.
Is this more of just like for show, like how Biden was always very angry, according to White House
No,
sources?
this is. I mean, Biden was never really angry.
Yeah.
White House officials were saying, "Oh, he was unsatisfied." Trump actually seems to have gotten upset at Israel doing something without his approval. I think Israel's gotten used to doing it with the fact that they could just do whatever they want for 40 years.
Yeah.
But Trump, I guess, didn't know that, even though he was president for 4 of those 40 years. And now he's mad that they're not consulting him.
Well, I hate to do like the immaterial analysis of this, but like I'm sure that Trump doesn't like getting politically cucked.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what happened. He was doing an interview, and people like, or it was like out in a field somewhere. I don't know if he was going to a helicopter or whatnot, but there you go. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm upset at Iran, but I'm very upset at Israel. Yeah. I'm like, don't get me wrong, Iran's got to watch it, but I'm pissed off at Israel right now. And with Biden's whole thing of like finger wagging and saying he's upset, it managed to never break to the material world. Yeah. Nothing ever actually physically changed beyond like the fact that these words were put on transcripts on paper somewhere. Yeah. With like, despite the fact that Trump let this start, he did also stop it, which is 2 material changes, I guess we'll go with. They did bomb some like nuclear research sites that are like 70 meters underground or something like that. There seemed to be surface level damage. They said that the sites were like destroyed, but then it seems like CNN reported that they weren't destroyed, and I believe some like Iranian sources also said that like there was cleanup to do, but nothing of real note was lost beyond just having to fix some stuff up here and there. So that seems to be the extent of what happened. All of the media did immediately fall in line ever since 1992, Netanyahu's been talking about how close to developing nuclear weapons Iran is, and he's been saying it every year to every other year, I believe consistently since.
Bennett, do you have the list of countries who can put together like nuclear weapons in 3 weeks or something? Mm-hmm. Who the fuck cares about Iran? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I needed to be interrupted, frankly. I was yapping for too long. I was starting to get a little nervous about it. But yeah, all the media fell in line and echoed Trump's talking points and Netanyahu's talking points, which were like, we can't let Iran have nuclear weapons, which is like just a fundamentally dumb statement to say when you have nuclear weapons.
Yeah. I mean, I think, what, do they...
Nuclear latency countries. Here we go. I have the list here. So, in order to be a nuclear latency country, you have to be able to assemble a bomb very fast. The nuclear threshold states are Japan, Iran, Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, Brazil, Taiwan, South Korea, South Africa.
Okay.
Of those countries, South Africa had nukes.
Yeah.
And gave them up. Right before apartheid ended.
Yeah, they didn't want Nelson Mandela having nukes.
Makes sense.
Now, Iran is technically a nuclear threshold state.
Yeah.
And they should be building nukes, but they probably aren't.
Yeah.
But in order to be a nuclear threshold state, you just need the technical expertise and the raw materials on hand, and you can build a bomb in like 2 days.
Yeah. So I think that like this whole Iran thing is less about them actually being able to make nukes and more about the U.S. and Israel essentially picking a new opponent for, I don't know, a new the war that Donald Trump wants to use to like boost, or he probably doesn't want to do that, to like boost Palantir's fucking stock prices or something.
Yeah,
it has. Yeah, like why is the U.S. not concerned about Canada? Why don't we care about Germany? Jesus, if someone has a history of being weird with having a lot of power, fuck the. You know what? Let's not go there.
Spencer, delete that. No, but yeah,
the German's gonna do to me.
This is a big reminder of something that I'm not sure if Bennett got from there, but the Hasanabi doctrine, which is there's 3 steps. Rule number 1, get nukes. Rule number 2, do not give up your nukes. Rule number 3, if you are accused of having nukes, drop everything immediately and find some nukes.
That was definitely, I think that's Matt Christman thought. Because what happened, okay, I'm pretty sure the origin of this, or at least where I heard it first, is years and years ago when Chapo Trapos was starting out in like 2016.
Right.
They got invited on some like like liberal podcast to debate, right? And
Was this Pod Save America or something else?
No, it was not Pod Save America, but it was another liberal podcast, and they were debating them on Israel and Iran, and they were like, "Do you think Iran should have nukes?" And Matt Christman's response was, "Iran has a moral responsibility to security."
Yeah, if this has proved anything, it is that Iran should get some nukes.
Yeah.
Because if they had nukes, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, so the thing is, nukes are bad and they can destroy the planet, right?
Yeah.
They shouldn't exist, but the United States has created an environment where everyone needs nukes, or their very existence as a country is insecure. And this extends to countries that are their closest allies, like Canada, whose sovereignty they were threatening 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know whose sovereignty they haven't threatened? Is North Korea. Or China.
Yeah.
I think China, they wouldn't even stand a chance. I think Trump on his, I don't know. I think Trump likes Xi in the same way that he likes
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, I think like he sees like they have a certain like I don't want to use it fucking Gen Z term, like a certain aura to them that he wants either he wants or he thinks he's like he has the same effects with the people around him. So he admires like Kim Jong-un, he admires Putin, he admires Xi. Wasn't he like defending Putin? When I forget, but some like...
Well, Trump likes people who are powerful or winners to...
Yeah.
That's what, yeah,
you know,
that's what it is.
He likes being a winner.
Yeah.
And if you're surrounded by powerful people, you're probably a winner.
He also, I think he admires the fact that these guys don't have to win elections where normal people get to vote usually. Like technically people vote in China and Russia, but it doesn't really matter that much. And North Korea, I think people vote, but every party is in coalition with the Communist Party.
Yeah. Look, you only have one proletarian class, right? Why would you need two parties?
I think Trump admires the fact that they don't actually have to campaign, which I think is something he kind of hates. Although he loves giving speeches, I don't think he likes the fact that he can potentially lose an election.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, actually when he's back, I'll keep going.
I'll wrap Carney into this too, because I'm really pissed off at Carney lately. I'm really pissed off at Carney lately.
Yeah, I think we can keep going. I got a lot to say about that bitch too. I sleep so comfortably knowing I didn't even think about voting for him.
Yeah.
Strategic vote.
All right, Bennett, you finish your thing up.
I was going to say, you were talking about Palantir stock going up. Palantir, I don't know if it's publicly traded yet, but all the weapons companies, their stocks rose massively during the crisis and fell off a cliff after the ceasefire was signed. So maybe there was some stock manipulation, but again, that would have happened organically, even if there wasn't. But yeah, just something to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Carney also. He went out there and it was like, oh, Carney, what are you going to say about America fucking with the Middle East again even more? And what did he say? Exactly all of Trump's justifications, pretty much word for word, just spat them out and then called it a day. He's like, yep, Iranians, they can't be having nukes, buddy. Everyone's like, oh, it's a diplomatic response. I was fucking furious, man.
Yeah, I hate him so much. Holy shit. Like the same thing, I forget what it was, but he put out like a statement saying if Israel does want something or the other, they're gonna like officially put sanctions. Does anyone remember that?
Yeah, he put sanctions, and I think he put sanctions on like 2 Israeli...
He put it on the finance minister Ben-Gvir, finance minister Smotrich and security minister Ben-Gvir, who are the most Nazi of the Nazi government of Israel.
Mm-hmm. When did he actually do that?
Probably centuries ago at this point. We haven't recorded in a minute.
Is this when they were talking about recognizing Palestine, but ultimately did not?
This came after. This was just before Iran, I think. I think this was just before Iran.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's no. He put sanctions that can effectively do nothing unless someone really wants to try to make it so that the sanctions do something. Like, they're easily avoidable.
Yeah, I honestly think Itamar Ben-Gvir would come to Canada and give a speech at, I don't know, U of T Monk School of Debate or whatever, and they wouldn't bat an eye. Like I dead ass think the sanctions mean little to nothing.
Yeah,
he's such a spineless bastard. Like pontificating like you're actually gonna do something when it comes to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Actually, that reminds me, the RCMP just announced that they were like opening an investigation into the Israel-Hamas conflict, and they talk such a big game. They're like, all right, just wait on us, and you'll see what we have, but we're not gonna talk about it or anything. We know what's been happening. Like, the evidence is out there. I don't understand. Like, any extra investigation here is just being redundant. Just take what people have already done and apply to it. Like,
well, this is Canada. We're a fundamentally pathetic, unserious, and cowardly country who loves to do endless studies on many different things and investigations without ever actually doing anything. See, for example, Toronto's approach to doing anything requiring governance.
Yeah.
Endless studies upon endless studies, no action. That is all Canada is as a country.
Yeah.
I saw a post before I came here. I was scrolling, as I have been doing shockingly too much recently. And it was a post, all it said is Hamas has been hiding in a lot of buildings. And it's someone with their phone in Gaza, I imagine, just doing like a panorama thing video with their phone. And all you can see, as far as your eyes can see, in every single direction, is just rubble left over from buildings. There's fucking nothing there. So then Carney, in all of his fucking spineless wisdom, he's interviewing, like, what do you think should happen about Israel and Palestine? What does he do? Call for a Zionist Palestine? What the fuck is happening? Like, what does that mean? I don't understand. It's incomprehensible.
I think it goes to show.
He said he wanted a Zionist Palestine that would make the region peaceful.
So he wants
a Palestine that recognizes Israel, is what he's saying.
He wants, I assume the only way you can make a Zionist Palestine make sense is have it so that the state of Palestine is suicidal en masse. Like, literally, by definition of the word, is all I get.
I assume what he means is that he wants a two-state solution where Palestinians enthusiastically recognize Israel. That's gotta be what that means.
I would assume he assumes that Zionism just means that, like, Jews live in a spot, and he's trying to do, like, reverse ethno-states, where it's like all of the Jews live in, like, one section and all the Palestinians live in another section, and everyone's, like, happy forever after.
Yeah.
I think what he means is his definition of Zionism is just that Israel exists.
Yeah.
Which, I think, it's either that and he's incredibly dumb and doesn't understand, like, historical roots of Zionism, or it's what Spencer is saying and he's just maliciously tossing out a word salad that makes little to no sense, because at the end of the day he supports Israel, but he can't just come out and say Israel should win. Yeah,
he's trying to be soft for as long as he can be, and he's still kind of teasing like he's going to. He keeps on teasing like he cares about Palestine, but never actually getting there. He's like asymptotically getting closer to believing Palestinians should live. But he can't quite jump that gun ever. And then he went out, it was the next day, this was recently, or maybe a couple days later, and said, oh fuck, I just blanked because... and then he was asked whether he believes what was happening in Gaza was a genocide. And he proceeded to say, don't politicize that term. But it's a fundamentally, like, name an apolitical genocide. I'll wait forever.
Yeah.
And also, you just called for a Zionist Palestine, and you're saying don't politicize the word genocide? Buddy! Anyways, it's a... I considered voting for the Liberal of my area for a brief moment, and then I proceeded to not do that. And every now and then, I smile at previous Uncle Spenny.
Yeah.
And I feel good about myself. I'm not gonna, hate too much people who are, voting against conservatives or whatever. I didn't do it, but I'm not gonna, like, scream at you about it or anything like that.
Yeah,
but I feel good about myself for it.
Yeah, I think, like, I know a lot of people who voted for the Liberals, and it's never really their fault because there's, like, an environment of... There seems to be this idea that one party is fighting for your rights and another party is not fighting for your rights. And the thing is... both parties are fighting for their own rights to, like, do whatever the fuck they want. Mm-hmm. And neither of them are fighting for you. I don't know how Pierre Poilievre could have been worse than what Carney's doing right now. And I think a response was like, PP would be like a crypto, I don't know, I forgot what the term was used, but like, a cringy crypto bro type prime minister, and that's bad. But I don't know. I'd rather. Actually, I don't. Both of them suck. I hate both of them. Fuck them.
I did bring an article. Believe it or not, I have a few articles because I'm trying to make this more of a rag piece. Fucking Christ! 1 sec. I gotta get to archive.ph. Mark Carney's minority government has an unexpected is the keyword, partner in the Conservatives. If only anyone could have seen this happening, given the history of any time the NDP does well, the Liberals and the Conservatives link up.
And they're not even doing well.
What?
I'm not even doing well.
They're not even doing well. Everyone's just, I keep on seeing, everyone's like, oh, well, at least it's not the Conservatives. At least it's not the Conservatives. Every single thing he's done has been what Poilievre said he was going to do.
Yeah, and I don't even know, did Poilievre promise to meet the NATO spending target?
Yeah, probably.
He did? Oh, okay. Did Carney?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't miss that.
Did.
True.
There was an era of militarism at the time, though, because I feel like that was around the time Trump was threatening to annex Canada, right?
And spending our NATO budget would help.
Well, increasing military spending, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Because all the NATO budget thing says is that you have to spend a certain amount on your military. It doesn't say you have to give the money to NATO.
Right.
Yeah, I think, like, sure, it could be a little bit worse if, like, Bill C-5 has gone through, or, like, there would be a couple more things, I imagine, that could be ignored in the wave of anti-worker bills coming through. Bill 5, Bill C-5, and all of that. But it's 95% of the way there.
Yeah.
And he's been, at least, like, politically incredibly inept, because I guess he's the economist guy. He doesn't know all the politics. He's probably just getting briefed by generic liberal stuff, which will be the same for conservatives and liberals because they're politically the same. And yeah, he just tries to keep it to economic stuff, but people don't care.
Like, despite being politically inept, he is being he's literally becoming the next Trudeau. There's so much liberal fucking hyping up about, oh, how great he is. We finally have someone smart in that Ottawa house. I don't remember what it's called. All I see every day online is how much liberals are just basking in some sort of, I don't know what world they live in, but they are having a good time. Like, they see everything that's happening and they say, yes, that's good. That is not what Poilievre would have done. And I like that. God, these people are dumb.
Yeah,
Holy.
everyone's talking about, like, if you say they're doing the same thing or they're working together, the other parties came out and said, like, oh, it's like a coalition. And all the news was like, oh, there's no coalition. But as we know, you don't need, like, a conspiracy or coalition when their interests align. And their interests align. It's the bourgeois parties. Now, we always joke, why do you only need one party? And it's because
why do you need more than one party if there's only one bourgeois class?
Yeah, well, like, if you only have a party that stands up for workers, why would you ever need another party?
Yeah.
You only need one party.
Yeah.
But if you have... Workers are the vast majority of people, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a bourgeois state, you need multiple parties so that people can get angry at one bourgeois party and then vote for something else. Why does it always feel like you're voting someone out? Because you're voting out the bourgeois party. You just don't realize you're voting in another bourgeois party.
Yeah.
And yeah, the article had just like a bunch of scrap points. But one of the things they did was like, we just need to work together. Canadians ultimately want them to work together, said Shakir Chambers, a conservative strategist and vice president of the public affairs firm Oyster Group. I'm very glad the Conservatives are coming to the game and playing a constructive role. It's been a very long time since they've done that. The article continues on about how the Conservatives can keep attacking the Liberals. But it's like, everyone's so obsessed with both the bourgeois parties working together and how this is so good for everyone. You're just going to get more bourgeois decisions. It doesn't matter if it's not for the workers.
Yeah.
All right, where are we at now?
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, look up these bills, C2, bill C4, C5. They're all, I mean, it's so, like, I don't know. We don't have time to get into all of them individually. They're all pretty bad. I think the border bill is C5.
Which one is that again?
That's the ability to get more of your digital data without a warrant. ISPs have to hand over a more amount of information. They're allowed to open your letters. Canada Post can open your letters without letting you know and hold them for up to 2 weeks without doing anything, which also means that, let's say it's a paycheck coming through the mail, they can just withhold your paycheck for 2 weeks, which could run someone underwater and just cripple them, which is insane because that is like a targeted thing the government could now do to attack activists.
Yeah,
it's now
can legally do it now.
Exactly. It is legally on the table. They could do that, and nothing can be done because they are legally allowed to.
This was all riders on. I remember these were riders in some other bill rather than being their own bill.
Oh yeah, the actual bill itself, which is like 75% of it, was talking about like border and like more military spending and stuff like that. But every single bill that Mark Carney is pushing through is like 2/3 what the bill says it's addressing, and then 1/3 just reducing the amount of rights workers have.
Yeah.
And it's been very consistent, and everyone also seems strangely excited about it, where everyone's like, oh yeah, this is what we need to make sure things happen fast. But
this is what we need to stop Trump.
If only... Yeah, all I need is less rights. Are you kidding me?
That's been a theme at the federal and provincial level, right?
Yeah.
Bill 5 is in effect in Ontario where you can... the government can suspend all like labor protections in an area in order to speed up projects.
Yeah. I think the last second change they put through, and I have to check exactly how much stuff it is that it's not like it's no longer a complete wash for labor rights. I think they'd have to like pay you a minimum wage or something still, but for a while even that wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think they have to do like WHMIS.
Well, I thought it was the minimum wage thing. They didn't put it in the bill, so they can not pay you minimum wage.
Okay.
But Doug Ford's like, they're not going to do that. And
of course, because they have values.
Yeah, I think Doug Ford's like, we choose what laws get suspended, and we just wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
is what he said.
Speaking of. I remember a few weeks back we were like thinking about what Carney's response was going to be to Canada Post, and he did exactly what Trudeau did, essentially ordering the CUPW, the union, to they forced the union to accept any final deal that the corporation was offering them, which I can imagine is a shitty deal. Otherwise, he would have accepted it already.
Yeah. All right, so I actually didn't see that update. I was holding out thinking the only good thing Carney could stand on values about is respecting unions.
Which I don't know why he would. I mean, Trudeau didn't.
But I thought that was going to be his point on being better than Trudeau. But so far, Carney's coming in batting 0 for me. Yeah. Which is a little frustrating, is I think a mild way to put it. I've really been losing it about Mark Carney lately. So there you go.
Speaking of people losing it, I have a post to read out.
Perfect.
It leads into our international coverage. That's not Iran and Israel. New York Jews, please don't leave New York City.
Oh.
Okay. That's the title. I know a lot of people are scared following the Democratic nomination, and we can all understand why. I don't believe that a vast majority of people voted for Mamdani because of his positions towards Israel or the globalization of the Intifada. They did so because of his focus on affordability and or because they hated Cuomo. It doesn't make these positions less concerning, but it puts into context the environment we're in. We all notice dog whistles and most people won't. That's just the nature of being Jewish. It doesn't mean most people represent his most worrying positions. And yes, it's possible that a lot of New Yorkers think that Jewish safety is less important than affordability. But can we really expect people struggling here to put us before them? It's politics. Voters were asked to pick between different trade-offs, and his resonated better with most. I would argue that Cuomo had a lazy campaign. I think we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to better get our message across. But most importantly, as a Jewish immigrant who had to hide it all his life, moving to New York changed my life. I don't have to hide anymore because being Jewish was so normal, and that's our force. We have each other's back. I hope New York stays a Jewish city for the rest of my life so people can find peace too. We are better when we are in numbers. New York has so many unpopular mayors. If we leave, they win.
Wait, this sounds so level-headed. Who's this?
So this is on the Jewish subreddit. This is the most sane take I've seen on the Jewish subreddit.
Yeah,
okay, you want to read my favorite take on this?
Yeah.
Honestly, brother, we should uncircumcise ourselves in the exact way our ancestors did it. When the Greeks ruled over us, it would be a powerful form of protest. Let's all do this, no anesthesia. Let's see them ignore this.
Okay, so Spencer, unfortunately, has fallen.
It's a fake post, but it's still the funniest post. Biederman. Okay, I don't know.
Jewish host of Chapo Trap House.
Yeah, okay. I saw that and I died laughing. That's my favorite post that came out of this whole situation.
Nah, it was a banger.
Even funnier than all the posts from the Jewish organizations that were like, New York, America has Vivalin, evacuate now. This place that is potentially having a mild social change is so dangerous that we should run away to an active war zone that is getting struck by missiles as we speak. I mean, not right now, but at the moment they were posting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Batar Worldwide posted, evacuate New York City immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Mm-hmm. We urge all Jews to evacuate New York City. All of this because a guy who won a primary election for mayor of New York City, and he said he would not visit Israel as mayor.
The primary part is I'm waiting. Not even, I know Alimi said people on the right will pull some things to make sure he doesn't become the actual mayor. I'm willing to bet that it's the Democrats who do everything they can to make sure he doesn't become mayor.
Yeah. They've already said they're going to do that. They're considering running Cuomo as an independent. They're getting behind Eric Adams. They're trying to get the Republican candidate to step down or whatever so that they can have a unified front against Mamdani.
Incredible.
They're doing it to Mamdani what they were going to do to Sanders.
They did. What's the progressive British guy again? I'm blanking. Just
Corbyn?
Jeremy Corbyn. What they tried to do was shut him out like they did Corbyn, by hitting him hard with Israel questions, and when he answers perfectly reasonably, the question being, will you visit Israel? Will you fight for Israel? And he said, I'm here to fight for Jewish citizens in New York. This is what I represent.
Yeah.
And they were like, will you visit Israel? And he was like, I'll visit all the boroughs here and speak to the people that live in New York. Perfectly level-headed response.
Insane question even to ask.
They went all in on he's anti-Semitic. But they've lost that card. It seems that the establishment has just like figured out with this that calling someone anti-Semitic has lost its bite.
That's the best part of the win, I'd say, is like it shines a light to other progressives, I don't know, in North America, that you can like stand strong on being pro-Palestine, because if New York City was able to look past the false claims of anti-Semitism for Zoran, I think anywhere can do that. Like it was so shocking to see that he actually won. And yeah, like you said, he navigated those questions perfectly, brilliantly. Like they asked, like the I guess it's a big population there, but no one ever asks any prime minister candidate in Canada, are you gonna visit Ukraine? Are you gonna visit fucking Barbados or
also like he's the mayor of a fucking city?
Yeah.
Like, why is I keep seeing clips of Eric Adams going, New York is the Istanbul of America. Or like New York is the Tel Aviv of America. Like why is the mayor of New York going on diplomatic visits everywhere? What is going on?
Eric Adams seems very proud that he knows the names of several cities around the world.
But
Eric Adams is also like an agent of the Turkish state, so of course he knows Istanbul. He's gotten like basically free flights from like Turkish Airlines to go to Istanbul for like bribery related reasons.
He was going to Chile, and he was asking, is there some way I can swing past Turkey to get a free like stuff like that? Oh man.
We managed to have two options. One is a guy who is broadly progressive, and the other is just like a decrepit hag that just loves sexual assault, it appears.
Yeah.
And
he said
despite all of the establishment, the progressive managed to win.
Yeah. What did he say? He said something about like he would sexually harass a woman because he's Italian or something like that.
Yeah, he said, most people see it as sexual assault, but I'm just Italian, and that's just how. Apparently it's a bunch of weirdos.
He was like behind the times on like appropriate workplace conduct.
Behind the times, 100 years, and that's not been appropriate work conduct for
the classic get out of sexual assault accusations card by being racist.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't know if you can really be racist against your own ethnicity, you know.
I guess debate. Yeah. I'd say you are easily allowed to joke about your own ethnicity.
Yeah.
And get away with it because it's your ethnicity, because that's you. You're chilling. If it's not a joke, I'll say like if you're like going hard line on, I'm sorry, I can't help from sexually assaulting people. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
And you're saying that as like a public statement. If you're saying it with friends, gross ass joke, but it's a joke. If you're saying it as a public statement, that's insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Zoran Mamdani. Hopefully he becomes the mayor. Like,
although of course even the Democratic mainstream establishments would like prefer to throw the election to a Republican than let him win.
The first Republican in New York in how long?
Probably 60 years.
God damn.
But a progressive like this, everyone's like, oh, you need to push for the center. Honestly, a progressive like this will probably pull Republicans harder than the center. Because the Republicans that are like, oh, he says what he means, will like it. The Republicans who like just hate Israel will like him. The Republicans that are just like, oh, we need economic policy, will probably like him more than they would Cuomo, who won't say anything.
Yeah, it's they'll show their true colors, and that's that they would rather obviously the Republicans win than a guy who's like a mild social democrat.
Yeah. It was funny seeing how he won, and all the like right-wing grifters and Republicans were just like, I hate brown people, I hate brown people, I hate brown people, I hate brown people. And you're like, oh, okay, well, let's take a look over at the Democrats. And they're like, I hate brown people, I hate brown people, I hate brown people.
Yeah, people were saying, oh, New York obviously forgot who did 9/11. First of all, Israel. So. He looked at the guy who's, was going to put a stop to that. Then people were saying, like, there's going to be Sharia law in New York City because this guy's Shia.
Yeah.
Which is, like, so funny because this guy's, like, the most obviously just culturally Muslim guy of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he drinks or, like, whatever. Like, I don't... This guy probably eats bacon for breakfast is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's not like a hardliner or anything like that. He's just a guy who happens to subscribe more to like one religious aspect
he was
or some
just
way.
born Shia.
Yeah, like
Just-
he's grown up that way. It's the same as like I would assume he's the same as a lot of people that I know where it's like, oh, are you Christian? And they're like, my family's Christian. I'm not really going to church or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he's doing a little more than we let on. But it's not like he's pulling out being hardline Shia at any point. He's a chill guy.
And I don't think it will influence his administration in any way.
Yeah.
And now he wanted to do... he had some pretty radical proposals. He wanted to do a state-run grocery store in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Like a public option for groceries, which is it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
He wanted rent control, price controls, like, normal DSA stuff in the U.S.
Free buses, right?
Free buses. He wanted free. That was a huge one. I mean, he kind of decisively won that debate because he's like, the ferries in New York are already free. There's no reason why the buses can't be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you ride the bus in Toronto, half the people on the bus are not paying for it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ferries in New York, like, you have to take them to get to certain parts of New York, right?
Yeah, Staten
Right.
Island is literally an island.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I got two articles that I wanted to pair together. This is some Canadian stuff. Just as we come and wrap this up, I guess I'll do like a partial read through of the articles. The first one is from Burnaby Now. Almost half of BC tenants are skimping on groceries to afford rent.
Okay.
And then, is it Royal LePage? Royal LePage? Royal LePage?
Probably LePage.
I've never known that. The subheader is, but Royal LePage report says renters may benefit from improved market conditions.
Wow.
Well, won't someone think of them?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to lose weight? How about we increase your rent by 100%?
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So a new study reveals that 45% of BC renters are reducing their spending on groceries and food in order to afford their monthly rent. 35% of BC tenants are reducing contributions to their savings and retirement to afford rent. A quarter of respondents have skipped medical or dental care, accumulated credit card debt, or taken on a second job or side hustle, which is just code for a second job.
Yeah.
All of these are just 25% independent from each other's statistics. And then, it says that like affordability's gotten a little bit better, but they're assuming that the drop in prices is done so we can get back to business as usual. And this is followed by another article that was sent in by a fan of the show, believe it or not, which was from the CBC, which is about Canada facing a housing crisis. Could it take a page from Europe? Talking about like Vienna-style housing and all of that, and essentially non-profit
That's a
housing.
concerning title, because usually when they say that, they mean British-style solutions.
Like Mark Carney likes, which has not done well.
But Vienna has a very progressive housing policy.
Yeah, so it's...
I think a majority of the housing in Vienna is publicly owned.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm getting it twisted and it's 60% of Vienna's residents live in public housing, but I guess it's basically the same thing.
It's like there's a few statistics. There's like non-for-profit or profit-capped models of housing, where if you like anything beyond 3.5% of a return, you have to put back into like upgrades or development of more housing and stuff like that, which makes it so that if landlords are doing well, they have to put money back into their the people living in their buildings and all that, and their buildings is what I'm looking to say. And it goes through a handful of policies saying that like the government gets the first dibs to buy houses, And then also says, oh, but some people say that the government would be wasting money by spending so much money on buying these houses. So they also have a rule that just says the government can just pay 30% less.
Okay.
And wouldn't you know?
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
And that's just how things work over there. Landlords are still making their like shred of money, but it's not nearly as much.
It's more than they deserve, which is none.
Exactly. In the Netherlands, the Affordable Rents Act established a mandatory formula for calculating rent, which placed caps on certain tiers of housing, reducing average costs by 50% or more. Overnight, real estate speculation slowed and housing prices dropped. This could all be solved in one day if we wanted to. But they won't let you know that, which is why we have to do supply and demand, which is why every single article is saying we need to build more housing, is because it won't solve it. And then just saying that Canada, we don't seem to be able to figure this out. We've been waiting for the private sector to come and fill this gap for a long time, and it hasn't. Certainly one lesson for Canada is this: don't wait. Every single major institution is saying, just wait, we'll build more houses over time.
We've been waiting for the private...
we have a solution that works, but it's just against the class interests of the people who could implement this solution. Because every MP, every MPP, every politician, including Jagmeet Singh, is somehow a landlord or married to a landlord or involved in this real estate speculation scheme.
Now, I believe the new housing minister that Carney appointed, if I remember this correctly, it's been a week, he has a $40 million housing portfolio, so he's not going to fix it.
Yeah.
And so luckily we didn't get Pierre Poilievre, who could make things worse. Fortunately, we voted for the other bourgeois party, who is also not going to fix this, so we can wait for another 4 more years.
Incredible. I'm going to drop this little... for our listeners out there, in the Soviet Union, rents was capped at 5% of everyone's income. Think about that. Think about 5%. You could pay for your rent, someone said, with ice cream money. And this is what we have to do. We have to wait for the private sector to come in and solve our problems for us. If anything... Like, it just shows how fucking stupid our government is. Like,
it is crazy that if you ever read Shock Doctrine, in it she talks about the expectations that the Eastern Bloc citizens had of what was going to happen when they lost the Cold War versus what actually happened.
Right.
And what they thought was going to happen is they were going to have multi-party democracy, but the Soviet economy.
Yep.
And what they ended up with is just these authoritarian governments and the Western economy.
Yeah.
So nothing that they
lost them.
Nothing that they wanted.
Yeah.
So in the USSR and in the future in the Ontario SSR, but we'll return to that one later, you could pay 5% of your income as rent.
Yeah.
1/4 of respondents, 23%, spent more than half of their after-tax income towards their monthly rental payment. This is in BC. So in BC, you can instead pay 50% of your monthly income
you can pay
in rent.
Order of magnitude more of your monthly.
Yeah. Life could be a dream.
Hey, at least we're not living in a totalitarian state, you know.
Yeah,
I still stand in a line to buy bread, but this time I'm paying like my rent prices for the bread. Oh man,
it is almost like charming the naivete of Eastern Bloc citizens on the eve of the end of the Cold War.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just going to have democratic socialism. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No. You fumbled it. You fumbled the bag. It's over.
So
what was the big question where it's like, what would you do if you get fired under the capitalist system? And they were all like, that's okay. The government will find me a new job. Well, I feel really bad because they had hopes and dreams and they had no clue what was about to happen.
Yeah, and even the Soviet elite, who basically destroyed the Eastern Bloc so that they could have access to Western luxuries, didn't really appreciate the gravity of the situation. Yeah. Like, Gorbachev seemed to be under the impression that the U.S. was just going to let him keep planned economy.
Yeah.
Like that was going to be a thing that was going to be like that wasn't going to be shock doctrine. The government would continue to own everything and operate this planned economic system, but it's almost insane that they believe that in retrospect.
Yeah. It does seem that unfortunately what the USSR seems to have internalized in the message of all of the death and destruction that America imposed during the Cold War was that, like, dang, America must be like slipping on banana peels all the time. Instead of being like, this is all deliberate and planned out. Yeah. And all these invasions that are happening were like just whoopsie daisies by someone down the chain instead of like a planned method of destroying the global South.
Yeah.
But
it's a damn tragedy. What can you do? What can you say? And you had another article?
Those were the ones I wanted to do. I did have another article that was incredibly inflammatory about it was from the National Socialist Post. It was an opinion one, and it was just like we shouldn't have to fund universities that like have students that hate Canada. And I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really funny.
Okay, just from a statistical standpoint, what percentage of the Canadian population do you think hates Canada? If it's even 1%, that's 1 in every 100 people. Yeah, you're gonna have one at any university because they all have like 40,000.
Yeah, you're gonna have hundreds at every university. Yeah, and also like everyone knows, even the right knows it's like skeptical to like. Or fine to be like very skeptical of your government or the like direction of the country. That's like chill. This one was about anti-Canada Day like things, but I don't know. It was. I realized I just didn't want to drag my mood down by covering an article I would just get angry reading.
The thing is that that's such a 2020 culture war issue, where it's like the National Post is like the Japanese soldier in New Guinea fighting 29 years after.
This shit was like 10 years old, man.
Still being like, we need to protect our statues and we need to protect our holidays.
He does talk about protection of the statues, I believe.
That's like, okay, the Johnny McDonald statue at Queen's Park it's back. Yeah. No one's vandalized it, no one's touching it, no one's knocking anything over.
Not for long.
No one's trying to cancel holidays anymore. This is such a 2020 discussion.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there needs to be sort of an agreement that, like, the right needs to, let 2020 go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You no longer need to mask. You no longer need to be vaxxed. No one's knocking down statues anymore. No one's trying to cancel Columbus Day. Yeah. Right? And these are things that are no longer culture war issues. You have to let it go. You need to get over it.
Yeah. It's kind of like the war on Christmas, though. I think what happens is every like right-leaning thing just needs to throw out their rag pieces for the freaks that eat it up. Yeah. You know? It's like actually a shocking amount of righties I know are still like anti-mask and they're still kind of on it. But like yeah, no one cares. You're fighting yesterday's battle, but at the same time it's the same people who are really struggling to leave behind Gamergate, which is another nothing burger. Same with the last month. Issue. Everyone was saying World War III. Guess what? Nothing burger. All right.
Nothing ever happens. And
I mean, rip to the people who died, but nothing ever happens. That's what it comes. Like people did actually die this.
Yeah. Well, except for like the IDF. Yeah. Rip to every Iranian who died.
Right. To the civilians, the Iranians, and all of that.
And also Israeli.
Sorry, my brothers.
What can you do?
But yeah, it's just a generic hit piece that's like we don't like universities. And
I mean they've been trying to get rid of public education for 1,000 years, you know. Yeah. I think since the Prussian system was invented in the late 19th century, the right has been trying to abolish it.
Yeah. I think they just put it out in case eventually it gets stirred back into the culture war again, and then they're like, we've been covering this. That's, you know?
True. I guess
I think they can do that. Or like it's the same thing with I'm pulling out last episode of Andor season 1, which I finally watched after 9 months, where it's like they're hoping that maybe one of these articles, if they put it out and it just captures the right people at the right time, will spur on something greater. That's gotta be it, because it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
But there you go. The culture warriors will always fight, because if you want the culture war to end, as Bennett says, that just means you want the other side to give up.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Is people say, "Oh, I hate the culture war. I hate the culture war." So, are you surrendering? That's the only way it ends.
Yeah.
One side gives up. So, are you surrendering? And I don't think we should.
Yeah.
So, and they're not going to.
So we gotta keep fighting. All right. I think it's a good place to leave off.
Yeah.
Keep fighting in the culture war, folks. We'll be in the trenches forever.